Welcome everybody. Oh boy, here we go. Games Workshop has released The Reign of Iron, which has a lot of focus on my favorite salty man children, aka the Iron Warriors. To that end, I have decided to follow this development. What GW will retcon or add, deep dive into the lore, and do my damnedest to make sure that the galaxy's top trench stickers, yes, move out of the way, Kriegers, don't lose what remains of their soul. Already I've seen a few red flags regarding this, but anyways, let's begin from the top. Other than the Primarch himself, let's talk about Warsmiths. Warsmiths are the paramount warlords and leaders of the Iron Warriors Trader Legion, embroidering ruthless siege mastery and industrial brutality. Originating as an honorary rank during the Great Crusade, the title will come to replace more traditional roles like Praetor or Lord Commander. Awarded to senior captains commanding grand battalions, strategic formations of multiple grand companies, plus entire artillery parks. Warsmiths were logistical savants, shaping battlefields through siegecraft, ordnance, and engineering, while being held to the absolute unforgiving standards by the Lord of Iron himself. Post-Horus Heresy, the Legion's fragmentation elevated Warsmiths to Grand Company leaders, an equivalent role to either a Chaos Lord or Chapter Master on the Loyalist sides. Commanding autonomous warbands from Metrograd, the Daemon world which all warriors has come to call home. They oversee slaves, supplies, alliances, warpcraft, and are often a dark amalgamation and representation of iron malice and sheer bitterness. Some notable warsmiths are Honsu the Half-Breed, or Kudomor the Breaker, Bob and Falk, the Warsmith, and of course, the newest kid on the block, Kravek Morne. Kravek Morne? Yes, Kravek Morne. The walls of Agrippina's outer bastion trembled like a dying heart. I crouched in the trench, last gun slick with sweat and blood. The last 3 men of my platoon huddled beside me. Shells from the trader batteries had turned the sky black with smoke and the ground into a churned graveyard. We were the line. We were all that stood between the forge world's heart and the monsters pouring from the eye. Then he arrived. Kravek Morne is a warsmith of the Iron Warriors Trader Legions. Introduced right now here in 2026. Right now, or rather as of now, there are no prior appearances in novels or codex or any other material. This guy is brand new and is ready to pave his way. He is the central iron figure in Perturba's ongoing assault on the Cadian Gate remnants during the era Indominus. Allegedly born circa M39 and forcibly inducted into the Iron Warriors approximately 2,000 years before the Great Heresy veteran. He rose to the rank of Warsmith in just about 500 years, which, according to newer lore, at least is exceptionally fast. Yeah, one can think about if they think 500 years is fast to do anything. But apparently it was thanks to his natural gifts of devastating headlong assaults, which is unusual for an Iron Warrior. Regarding his relation to Perturabo doesn't really like or respect any commander that is under him. He views anyone that is in his service as a tool and a function. And it seems that right now that Kravek Morne is an extremely well-developed tool which gets the job done. Kravek has been described as lacking the arrogance and lethargy typical of long war veterans, which apparently sees him elevated and doing things differently. An actual quote from the official lore. As I said before, Perturabo doesn't really like or respect any of his commanders, but a precious few have at least earned the Demon Primarch's trust with consistent records of victory. And among the rarefied kind, Kravek stands out as a particularly callous and brutal warlord. He does not possess the arrogance or lethargy of these long war veterans who have fought at the gates of terror, having been forced into service a mere 2,000 years before the Great Rift tore the galaxy, and it took him only 5 before his gift for devastating headlong assault secured him a place among the Iron Warriors' Warsmiths. I fired. Everyone fired. Last bolt scored his armor and vanished in sparks. He never slowed. A single swing of the hammer turned Sergeant Vale into red mist. Another cross-trooper Lauren into the mud so hard that the earth cracked as Lauren disappeared into it. 2 more men died before they could scream, impaled by mechadendrites. Dear Emperor, help! Morne is portrayed as an exceptional callous and brutal warlord, even by Iron Warrior standards, which really says a lot because these guys are regarded by all Space Marines, except the Marines Malevolent, to have a little level of disregard for human life that is teetering upon insanity. Decades of relentless frontal assault had transformed him into a living siege engine due to his choice of armor and weaponry. His armor is a large, hulking cataphractite Terminator plate, and his siege hammer, last argument, and as well as several additional ranged weapons, turning him into a combined weapons platform and battering ram. While Iron Warriors like Honsu or Forex typically kill the servants of the God Emperor with lined artillery, war crimes, and disciplined gun lines, Kravek Morne prefers a direct meat grinder style of warfare, which I believe is due to his relatively young nature and wish to do things in his own way. His armor, the Iron Mantle, is an ancient Horus Heresy-era suit of cataphractite Terminator armor that Morne has heavily modified and personalized. Exposure to the warp and long years of combat has allegedly fused his body with the armor, turning the pair into a siege weapon described as being as powerful as a demon engine, bristling with weaponized mechadendrites and augmetics. His primary weapon? Last Argument, a truly huge siege hammer personally crafted by Morne himself, infused and powered by his knowledge of warcraft. It crackles with infernal power and is described as the deadliest weapon in his arsenal. While the Thunderhammer, which is smaller than Siege Hammer, is considered an anti-tank weapon, one can then imagine what a scaled-up version of this powered by hell would do to anything that it hits. He has a lot of other war gear. From the tabletop standpoint, he is equipped with extra weapons in the form of a combi bolter and flamer. However, I believe that as a frontline commander, he must have made several augmentations for his armor, allowing him to gather and utilize battlefield data on the fly while issuing commands to his troops at great distances. Role in the current setting is pretty interesting. Morne commands a large contingent of Iron Warriors plus vast number of mortal thralls and bound demonic forces. He leads the Iron Warriors' assault on the remaining Imperial holdouts around Acadian Gate, which is described as the first phase of Perturabo's millennial-long grand design for the total conquest of the Imperium. Key objectives include the Forge World of Agrippina and other Acadian Gate remnants that have held out since Cadia's fall. The command bridge of the ancient warship was a craven cavern of cold steel and dim baleful light. Consoles wired and hissed with data streams from the world below. Kravek Morne stood motionless at the heart of it all, a statue forged from hate and ceramite. Before him, a hololith of Agrippina's outer hive sprawled in green and red. Defensive line glowed defiant, artillery emplacement blinked like wary eyes. Morne turned his helm towards the viewport. Beyond the glass, Agrippina turned slowly, a wounded jewel in the void. He felt no triumph, no anticipation, only the cold certainty of mathematics. Begin, he ordered. The deck shivered as engines roared to life. The next siege was no longer coming. It had already begun. To be completely honest, I'm pretty skeptical. So far, what I can read and glean between the lines, it would seem that the overall theme of the Iron Warriors are being upheld, but there are places where the lines are getting blurred, such as the fact that Kravek is being fused with his armor. I've seen the idea floating around that this fusion is controlled augmentation and not unchecked taint, which would make it fly within the Iron Warrior idea, but I don't really like it. But yeah, Warsmith and other warp shenanigans have in generally crept in with higher usage of obliviators, higher uses of demon engines. And hey, don't get me wrong, it all looks cool and it's some great minis, but I don't know if that's like the true nature of the Iron Warriors. But hey, that's what I'm that's gonna be what I'm gonna sorry. That's what I'm gonna be focusing on doing, telling you about the old school ways, and hopefully also highlighting some of the new cool things that are gonna be coming our way. Anyways, thank you for watching. Let me know what you enjoyed and consider giving a like and subscribe. Bye bye.